Hey guys, welcome back. So today we begin our session on Dataweave 2.0. Now let's begin our masterclass. Now I'm going to do this in a single session, but I'll break it into multiple parts for your own ease of watching. For this entire series, I'm using Dataweave Playground Editor. Due to security reasons, I cannot disclose the URL of this website I'm using. But if you have already checked out my special video on how to create your own playground editor using AWS and Docker, then it wouldn't take much time to have your own setup ready and play with it. Once again, I'm just using this for teaching purposes. Before we dive in, I would like to thank you guys for liking my content, and I hope to achieve 1000 subscribers with this series. So in the spirit of all this excitement, let's begin. Now on your left hand side, you have the input section. In the middle, you got the actual Dataweave code for transformations. And on the right hand side, you see the output for the provided input. Right now, we have a JSON message of type object with a single key value pair inside it. If you put the main code as payload.message, that's going to extract the value of the key message and pass it as an unbounded string output. Now let's clear this input payload and add a key, name, and a value mark. Now let's continue with few more elements to this object with some variations in declaring the key and values. After name, we add age, which is of type number. Is employee with a value of type boolean. Now please notice the variations of case sensitivity and camel case declaration of the key names. Let's add a present employer of the type string, previous employer of type array, which contains two JSON objects. So this is a JSON array of objects. Now next we have present managers with a value of type array of string elements that could also be called as array of simple elements. Lastly, we declare date of joining with type string. The value I declare here is of datetime format. As you can see, the output of the payload is constantly changing with the addition of new data to our input section. So in our main code, if you type in payload.name, what it does is it would extract the value of the key name and give that as an output. So if you go ahead and fetch each of the keys separately, it just retrieves that. Now let's see what each of the extracted values type declaration is. To do that, you use the keyword typeof, which is like an inbuilt method taking a single parameter into consideration. The parameter you pass is the value for which the type which must be revealed. So here we pass in payload.name. It is of type string. Let's calmly observe the types for each of the key elements as we type in. Now in this next scenario, instead of passing a single JSON object as a payload, let's pass an array of two JSON objects. So this is how the output looks like. Let's get back to the single object. Now let's see what are the different ways or the patterns of extracting a single JSON key elements. Let's say we type payload.previousEmployer map $.name. As I said, previous employer is of a type array. If you do a map on that, the map function iterates through each of these objects and create that many possible indices under the engine. And when you call $.name, you're saying the map to extract the key element name that many times it is appeared and display the output as an array. Since you're directly fetching the keys values, the output is presented as an array of simple elements. Now is there any other method to do this? Okay, just simply call previous employer.name. The dot is also called as a single value selector. It is similar to map. It looks into all the possible fields with the name provided after it. So in the input, if you have two repetitions of name keys, the dot name collages the values of both fields inside a single array. What else can we do? When the output is an array of such sorts, you are free to extract the elements of the array at a specific position. Let's take the element of the 0th position like this and extract it. Also, notice that putting square braces 0 right after the key previous employer can also do the trick for you. To observe what's basically happening, remove dot name. Now this picks up the first object of the array present at the 0th position. And when you say dot name, it takes the only name fields out of the object. In the place of the 0, if you put 1, it picks up Suzuki. Now instead of using name, you could also use a multi-value selector dot star name. The result of this output will remain the same. Dot star is a multi-value selector which exclusively picks up all the matching keys provided array input. Now if you want to pick up the second object of the array previous employer, you can simply open the square braces and put 1. Also, instead of using map $.name, you could simply use map $0 to return an array of simple name values. If 0 is replaced with 1, it returns the array of location values. So this notation basically means that you're telling the engine to iterate through all elements of array of objects where an element is an object, and you are requesting for the fields present in the first position, which is location. Now after extracting a specific string, in this case CTS, if you put an extra 0 after it, it will fetch the element C from the string CTS, which is a single character. If you put 2 after it, it picks up the character S, which is in the second position of the string. Hope you understood all of these combinations so far. Now let's continue with some other representations as well. If you simply open curly braces, it outputs that simply on your right hand side of the screen. Now let's add a name field to it and say payload.name is the value to that field. This took the value of the name field from this whole object and displayed that in your output section. If you simply put payload instead of payload.name, the name field is now containing a value of type object instead of a type string. Also remember that the name field can be enclosed in quotations, or you can leave it just. So using quotation marks of key names inside our main code is not necessary. Now let's create a JSON object which lists out the type of some of the input fields. Next, I don't want to repeat this payload everywhere inside our code. It's already repeated 3 times. So let us use this concept called global variables. To use a variable, type where p is a short form for payload, now is equals to payload. So this is a variable declaration. Now this variable p holds the entire payload. So in line number 6, 7, 8, replace payload with p. See, there is no change. Okay, time's up. There's a lot more I have prepared, beginning from basics to hardcore Dataweave examples. Let's continue this in our part 2. Bye.